Welcome, everyone. My name is Ferronox, and thank you for participating in the Direct Aid Streaming Project Raid Train. Hello. Uh, we're a little bit early. The ad just ended, and I need to unmute my game. There we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Ferronox. I am the lead administrator for the Direct Aid Streaming Project, and what we're doing today is a little bit of colonization and system building here in Elite Dangerous. I am currently ferrying materials from this station to my fleet carrier in order to carry them back to the system where I am building a starport, specifically an outpost, in order to claim the system. And from there I will be bridging out further on for about 35 systems to the location that I am aiming to reach. But also, we are here to raise awareness of direct mutual aid fundraising streaming here on Twitch. The Direct Aid Streaming Project aims to demystify and debunk some of the poor reasons for not helping those in need on the internet, and also to get more streamers to stream in order to directly help people in the same way that many of us do with charity and charitable fundraising. If you have any questions about what we do, you're welcome to ask them here. I do also have an AMA command that will take you to a form where you can ask a question if I don't get to it, or if you think of something you would like to ask about the project while I am not here participating in the raid train, which the next time I will be after this 2-hour block that I'm doing right now will be on Tuesday. But as I said, my name is Ferronox. I am a disabled creator, a disabled streamer, writer, and crafter in my own right. I make little amulets out of glass jars and crystals, salt, and iron. And I enjoy doing so. It is one of my favorite things to do, is to figure out how the colors and meanings of the crystals can be used to communicate things like prosperity, mimic pride flags, and so on and so forth. I am also a beneficiary of the Direct Aid Streaming Project, and personally do need about, let's say, $215-ish in order to pay my electric bill and switch my father and I's phone providers and actually get me another working phone, because I haven't had a working phone in about 3 or 4 years. But I am just one of many people in our vetted beneficiaries list. These are people that we have spoken to and have confirmed that, one, they are real human people that are not just a bot or somebody hiding behind an identity that is asking for help, and that they are honest about what they're trying to get. This is something that can be one of those unfortunate reasons why people don't help others, is this presumption that those online that are asking for help are not real, or scammers, or just making up shit to try and get extra money out of people. And it is my belief, certainly, but it is the policy of the Direct Aid Streaming Project, that 99.9% of the people online who are asking for help are real and actually need that help. It's very unlikely that anyone who goes online and goes on social media and says, "Hey, I need help with my rent or my insurance, car insurance, or feeding my kids," is lying. It's very unlikely. It's very unlikely that that is a scam, because mutual aid is not online mutual aid is not a particularly successful and easy thing to get money from. It takes a lot of effort to convince people that you are worth helping survive. You're worth helping. And there are so many easier ways to scam people than the amount of hours and time that must be spent on seeking mutual aid in this way. And so we do our best to try and make it as accessible as possible to both those that need help and those who want to help to get that figured out. Our vetting process largely involves just talking to people. We walk people through the process of making a Ko-Fi page and confirm that all of the information and setup that needs to be done for that is done. And by doing so, we are able to gather and centralize information like the Ko-Fi goal links in our beneficiary document, so that people can more easily donate to people, and so that streamers can help people more. We make sure that everyone provides us with this lovely little goal widget, which is a browser source that can be linked in OBS, so that streamers have that and can show their viewers the impact that they are making in this person's life by helping them fundraise. These are all the services that we at the Direct Aid Streaming Project provide and try to make sure are available to those who want to help. So I ask you today, how do you want to help? How are you able to? What are your reasons for not doing so? Especially because those things are the questions you need to be asking yourself and figuring out if there's a way you can help and what's holding you back from doing so. But here at the Direct Aid Streaming Project, primarily all we ask of people is to share and raise awareness, because that is one of the most effective things you can do. To be here, lurking and taking part in the raid train is an incredible help, because it helps us reach the places where we need to be. And it helps us reach those who may not have heard about who we are, or who needs help, or how we can help them. Hi, Phoenix Blue, welcome. I'm not actually colonizing in Mosca as much as I am buying shit in Mosca right now. I'm currently building a system. I'm currently building a primary outpost in Col 285 sector JLV D16-4 on my way to a location about 35 systems from my starting point. We're working on a system chain, as we are also doing a raid train for the Direct Aid Streaming Project and trying to help some less fortunate people who do not have access to the help that they might be able to get from a charity, or do not have the time to get through all of the bureaucracy and red tape needed to get government help for things that are just going to come and be needed far too soon to get that help. Whew, okay, I've already talked up a storm, so I'm going to go a little less talkative. I talked for practically 2 hours straight on my shift on Friday. for this, and I don't want to do that again because it wrecked me. So I might vibe to the music a little more than I did last time. But welcome in. Yeah, I'm starting a chain because there's a certain location I want to make accessible to colonization. And I'm not being secretive because I have a reason to be secretive as much as I'm just being cheeky and I don't want to say it. But I'm going somewhere where I personally feel like people should be colonizing because I feel like it'll make a difference and an impact somewhere. Thank you. I am very much a nerd. We're about to fill up my carrier. I feel like I'm getting real close to doing so. And I'm about to switch off of steel into titanium. But yeah, this is a longer project, and part of why I'm actually not saying where I'm going is because my squadron, White Tip Operations, is scouting out a new headquarters where we're going to build an Orbis and park our squadron carrier when Vanguards gets started and everything. So I'm doing what I can on the chain, and then I'm going to switch to doing that. And I don't know how long I'll be spending on that before I can continue the chain. So it's one of those things, right? Okay, how much more steel do I need? I need 545 more steel, and then fill my hold the rest of the way with titanium. I love it when this takes a long time to load. Hello? Hello? There it is. Okay, 545. And then titanium. I know for a fact I cannot get all the titanium I need on my carrier because I've already got it stacked full of other things. Whew. But yeah, today we're doing a raid train, and I will be here live for a couple of hours doing this stuff in Elite Dangerous, and then I will be raiding into our wonderful organizer, Kaya, aka Brat Dragon, Brat Dragon girlfriend, who will be playing Stardew Valley. So it's going to be pretty chill stuff for a little while. We just left Athena Atlas, who I should do a shout out for. It may not be Stardew. I may fall asleep. You know what? That's fair. Did that work? That did not work. Let's try that again. I think it's because I have to @ people for my command to work. There it goes. Yeah, we just left Athena's channel, where she was playing the early access for Titan Quest 2, which is very Diablo-like. So we may jump from a Diablo-like to Elite and then back to a Diablo-like, as I know you were playing Diablo 3 yesterday. Oh my god. Folks, I am so tired today. Like, I'm on blood pressure medicine because I have hypertension, and I could not afford to go to my doctor to get checked up on. Plus, I did not have the actual data I need to give her because I've not been taking my blood pressure at regular intervals like I should be. Oh yeah, Smash Ultimate. But I'm on blood pressure medicine, and One of my blood pressure medicines makes me flush, but it's the one that I'm supposed to be taking before bed, which is so awful because I cannot sleep when my body heat is out of control. So I've switched up my schedule and I've been taking my other med like before I take my big long sleep and then like later in the day when I want to take a nap. And it's been serving me well, but I got to switch back to a daytime schedule because now that I know this works, I can start sleeping at night again, and I've not been sleeping at night the past little while because that was when my body heat was getting out of control. And so I went to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning this morning. And then my body decided that that was enough sleep at about 7. So I'd been up from 7 until about 11 o'clock when I tried to go back to sleep. And that resulted in me forgetting that I had an alarm set to wake me up at noon, which was completely unnecessary and something I needed to get rid of anyway. But forgot to. Okay, I could get at least 2 or 3 more runs in, and then I'll actually need very little titanium left, so I might do that just as long-range trucking to finish this. Good to know. So today is just not my day for sleeping. I fully expect to go take my nap with my next dose of meds and get up like an hour later. Because my body has decided that I'm not allowed to sleep for worthwhile spans of time today, apparently. So I'm running a little bit lower energy than I was a couple of days ago. And I'm also trying not to talk too much about the raid train and the DASP because these are things I'm very passionate about, and I can for a fact know this, talk for 2 hours straight about this stuff, excitedly even. But I don't want to do that because it's going to wipe me the out. So I'm struggling. I'm struggling is what I'm saying. I'm struggling because I'm very tired, and also I want to excitedly talk about all of this stuff, but I don't. Maybe I should. Maybe these are two separate problems that can solve each other, right? Maybe I should be talking nonstop excitedly about the DASP, because then when I'm done with stream and go take my medicine, I'll conk the fuck out. Yeah, that's fair. You have a very different voice situation than I do as well, and I know that is a much bigger strain on you. I might. That might actually be the solution to both problems, is to just give up on one of them and go all in on the other, and go all in on it. It's tempting. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait before I start my next spiel, because I literally will not stop talking. But I'll say it again. If anyone has any questions about what the Direct Aid streaming project is for, what we are doing, what we are trying to do, feel free to ask. Because those questions will absolutely spur me into another spiel that will last for God knows how long, and will keep me talking, which is a good thing to do when you're streaming. I will say that I've been struggling a lot with streaming recently, and getting the energy to actually, open up OBS and go live has been very hard for me. Just because of the wonderful mixture of disability and mental illness that I deal with. Physical, let's just say physical and mental illness. It doesn't have it. These things are what makes my disability a disability. And being able to do an event like this again after quite a long time of not being able to do this kind of thing is very meaningful to me, and gets me very excited to stream, because this is the kind of stuff that was the foundational passion for me starting streaming back in 2012 originally. For those who might be new to the channel, or for those who simply do not know, I was the founding member of another group similar to the DASP, although functioning in a whole different way, known as For Cairn's Sake. This is kind of an artifact of a name now, so I don't expect many people to know this, but I have run into at least one person who was like, hey, I heard of that before. And what For Cairn's Sake originally was my name for charity marathons that I wanted to do, because I was inspired by the original Mario Marathon and Zelda-thon and Rated M for Marathon, who were good friends of mine for a while. One of the founding members is a good friend of mine. And it started originally being planned to be a World of Warcraft marathon with my World of Warcraft guild, which broke up like a month before the event actually was supposed to go. That event ended up being carried over to me playing WoW and my stepbrothers at the time playing Diablo 3. And I eventually picked up Diablo 3 as well, and it ended up being mostly a Diablo 3 marathon in which we raised money for Child's Play charity. That continued with 1 year where we played Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Castlevania Curse of Darkness for 48 hours on a friend's couch. Okay, so I'm going to do one more run of Titanium, and then it's time to ship off to the build system because I need to unload this stuff before I can get the rest of it. And we raised money for Help Hope Live in that marathon. Ooh, do I have the jump capacity for this? That's what I need to do. I don't think I can get there because I need to get... Yeah. We need more fuel. So what I need to do is do a run of Titanium to fill up my tank because I do not have... let's just make it the last run. I'm going to go get some tritium, fill up my tank. I said titanium before as the fuel. And then I will take off, and maybe I will just buy enough to fill up and then go back for more titanium. We'll see. So we played Castlevania games for 48-hour couch marathon to raise money for Help Hope Live, and then that continued one more year where we played Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door to raise money for Able Gamers. Now, I do not remember how much money we raised for Child's Play or for Help Hope Live, to be perfectly honest, but I do believe we raised $700 for the Able Gamers Foundation, which is, if you've heard of it, if you've not heard of Able Gamers, it's basically the American version of Special Effect back over in the UK. They do a lot of very similar work together. Not necessarily together, but very similar work. I was very proud of that, but we kind of entered a situation where the couch marathons weren't really going to be a thing that could be sustained on an annual basis. So I was looking for a way to continue doing that kind of stuff. And that was one of the years where Markiplier was in the hospital at the time that he would normally do his annual charity event. And so people on Tumblr, Markiplier fans on Tumblr, were talking about doing some kind of thing for charity in his honor to make up for the fact that he couldn't do his event. And I reached out and said, hey, I have some experience organizing these kinds of things. I would love to work with you on that. And that ended up being cooperation with marquee artists and several other people in the community that turned into what became a week-long marathon. Like, literally, somebody was streaming 24/7 for a solid week. I need to figure out exactly how much tritium I need. And I actually had to tell people to stop because everyone was so passionately trying to... That's going to be like 50. How... Can I not actually tell how much is in my tank? You know what? I can't carry so much that I will fill up my tank and not be able to put it away. So let's just get a whole load and then come back for some more titanium. And that was when like that era of For Karen's Sake was born. A lot of us stuck together and continued to do monthly and then maybe bi-monthly and slowly decreasing frequencies of charity marathons where we would effectively do what we're doing today, which was not raiding in, because raiding wasn't a thing on Twitch at the time, but streaming, like passing the baton to someone else and streaming on the same channel until the marathon was done, until the schedule was complete. And that went on for a few years until finally it just wasn't sustainable. There weren't enough people taking part. It was me and one other person, and I just didn't have the energy to continue trying to schedule stuff or look for more people to be involved. Eventually, For Karen's Sake had to be... There's a word for it. I don't remember, but For Karen's Sake ended. And it took me a long time to find some way to fill that hole in me. I progressively got sicker and more disabled by my physical and mental health, and it became harder and harder for me to stream. But then I got involved with mutual aid on Twitter and eventually on Blue Sky, and I saw a niche that was not being filled in the form of streamers streaming to help people who had needs that could not be met by charity. And so the Direct Aid streaming project was born and became the spiritual successor of For Karen's Sake. And I am happy to be here as its lead administrator. I am so thankful to Kaya, Brat Dragon Girlfriend, for organizing this event and for all of the effort and energy. I did nothing there. There was not a command involved in that. For making this happen. And I'm so excited to be here and be able to talk to you all about what it is we're doing and who we're trying to help. So, to jump back into a different spiel now, welcome. We are doing a raid train today for the Direct Aid streaming project, where our primary goal is to raise awareness of online mutual aid. Ask people if they are able to donate to someone who is on our vetted beneficiaries list. Oh, I do not have enough space for this. That's okay. I can put this away and then go get some more titanium and then jump. I can start the jump first, though. We're trying to get more people aware of what we're doing. We're trying to get some help for our vetted beneficiaries, of which Kaya and I and many others and a few others. I can say many. There's more than a few of us are a part of, and I can get rid of that bookmark. Pardon me. And finally, to ask streamers to please join us in taking part in online mutual aid for the sake of people in need in ways that charities cannot help them. Either they do not qualify, they do not have people, organizations that they can reach out to, or their need is just so urgent that the wait lists and time constraints that a lot of charities have simply cannot help them. I, for one, am not someone who can get on a lot of stuff. It's very hard for me to work through the various requirements in order to get on, say, disability, or to reach out for utility aid programs, primarily because of my own personal phone anxiety. It's very, very, very difficult for me to make phone calls, and a lot of these organizations and programs do not allow you to apply and go through the process solely through email, which I'm sure there are reasons for, but that just it's not, it makes it less accessible, right? But there are a lot of people who just have urgent emergencies that simply cannot be met by trying to get through all of this bureaucracy and red tape. And these people will potentially lose their homes, lose their temporary housing, lose their vehicles, lose their medications. There are many people in crisis who need direct aid immediately. And we just do our best to work within the spheres of social media and streaming to try and make that happen. That a lot of the time, I'm having a brain fart because I'm very tired. That a lot of the time expresses as running mutual aid threads on like Blue Sky and Mastodon, where we are currently have a presence. It exists in trying to debunk these ideas that everyone who's got their hand out is a scammer. Everyone who's asking for help has something to hide and is not using the money they're asking for the reason that they say they are. It's trying to make sure that people who want to help have access to people who they know need help and are real people. It's just why we do our vetting process, which is why we have a vetted beneficiaries list. And finally, trying to just get more streamers to do this kind of work. We're already raising millions of dollars, maybe even billions every year for various charities around the globe, and for Gaza and for the UK, and all of those causes are important. I don't want anyone to think that we are trying to distract from these important causes. But I am trying desperately to convince streamers that there's probably somebody down the street from where they live who is desperately trying to find the money to feed themselves, or who is spending way too much on daily costs to stay in a hotel because they're on a waiting list for housing that is going to take months to years to find them somewhere where they can stay. We have 4 people specifically on our vetted beneficiaries list that are in that kind of situation. We have Knox and Breyer, both trans or non-binary. Knox is also black, who are facing daily needs for housing, and are struggling every day trying to get the funds that they would need for a weekly payment to stay, which is so much cheaper. But these places are charging them 70 to 90, upwards of $150 to $200 on some days to keep them housed. And if they could just raise about $600, they could stay for a whole week for significantly less money. We have Britt, also black and using also black and non-binary, who is less than $200 away from being able to afford to relocate to a safe location where they have people and a support net that can help them, but still need to raise $700 a week to stay housed until they can also meet that goal. We have Braca, who is another streamer here on Twitch, who is trying to fundraise to get to Dublin, Ireland, on a scholarship to go to college there, to escape the rise of fascism here in the United States and the vast and dangerous anti-trans movement that is going through the government here in the US and the UK. There are so many people who simply do not have the resources to get to a safe place, to get to a doctor, to get medication, to get out of abusive homes, whatever have you. They do not have the means to contact charities that can help them, or there is no charity that will help them in the way that they can, or they don't have the time to get through the bureaucracy that is involved. And it is so important that we help these people. It is literally life-saving to keep people housed, to keep people fed, to keep people on their medications, to give people that breath of reprieve. It's so hard to do anything when you are stressed on a daily level, let alone be creative, let alone work effectively full-time hours begging people on the internet to help you. A lot of people are stuck in this, well then get a job mindset. But no one is hiring. No one wants to hire someone who is disabled or mentally ill. There's cheap, silly ways in blatantly written into job applications that tell you up front that they don't want you. You know, you have to be able to lift 50 pounds. You have to be able to stand and walk for long periods of time. You have to be able to speak to customers for a long period of time, you know. These things are stealthy little ways of saying we don't want to hire somebody who's in a wheelchair. We don't want to hire somebody who is physically, who has a physical malady. I personally have given up on trying to find a real job because there are times in the day when I lose the ability to walk. And there are times in the day where I lose the ability to speak. And I can create my own accommodation, at least for the speaking, by using my phone to do text-to-speech stuff. But that's not always going to be acceptable when the job doesn't allow you to have your phone on the floor. And if I ask for an ADA accommodation for that, there's no guarantee that I'm going to get that. There's so many people who are actively looking for jobs right now that simply cannot find them. Get a job is not the answer to a lot of the problems that people have that cause them to exhaust their support network and have to come online and start asking for help. And so all we're trying to do within the Direct Aid Streaming Project is bring direct mutual aid into the streaming sphere. We're already raising money for charity. We're already raising for Special Effect and Help Hope Live and Able Gamers and Child's Play and the Trevor Project and all of these amazing groups that can do amazing things, but they can't do everything. They can't help the Mexican family who's holding a sign begging for money outside of Aldi's. They can't help the disabled veteran in the wheelchair sitting in the parking lot of Walmart. And the support networks that are supposed to be able to help these people simply won't or can't. The biggest lie is that anyone asking for help is a scammer. Anyone asking for help is looking to find a way to take from you and not give back. But we live in a world where the phrase, "it takes a village to raise a child," exists. We know that we can't do this stuff on our own. But we live with these lies in our heads that tell us that we have to do it alone. That we have to depend on family and friends and not strangers of any kind to make it through. But what happens when you become disabled and suddenly, after supporting you for some time, your friends and your family start saying, no, you're going to have to handle this on your own from here on. That is the reality for so many people, that their support networks simply dry up. And that is when people turn to their last resort, going online and shouting into the void, "Hey, I need help. I'm about to lose my house. Hey, I need help. I can't afford my meds and I can't be off of them. Hey, I need help. I can't feed myself and I'm giving everything else I have to my kids. Hey, I need help. I'm the mother of 4 children and my landlord won't take late rent anymore." These are real people. These are people that I've met through the mutual aid community. These are real people with real needs who have been in these positions for years or more. And it doesn't take much. One bad turn, the loss of a job, hospitalization. You may save your life, but lose it at the same time because all of a sudden you don't have the money to survive. And now no one else is helping you, and you have to go online and say, "Dear God, please help me." What I am asking you, what I am asking you as a person, as a streamer, as the lead project, as the lead admin of the Direct Aid Streaming Project, is just to see these people. To see them, to hear them, and to amplify them. There's a lot of people who can't handle being asked to help sometimes. I know I can't, as somebody who's probably never going to be able to stop fundraising for myself and my family. Being how my disability works, and the fact that the only job I can really do is this, and making little shiny trinkets. And all we're asking is that you see these people, you see us, you see people that we as yet have not had the chance to help, and say, yeah, I can share that post. Yeah, I can spare the cost of a gotcha pool to help them get some food, help contribute to that. I can ask my community to help them. I can stream and say, hey, today I am directing donations to this person's GoFundMe in order to help them get out of the country. These are simple things. They're not difficult to do. They don't take much more than time and energy. But a lot of people just don't get how hard it is to be in it, to be in crisis, and have to prostrate yourself before the entirety of the internet in hopes that someone will take pity on you. In hopes that enough people will take pity on you for you to get through the next day. So I'm sorry for getting so serious, but that's what this raid train is about. Is we're just asking people to notice that there's a problem that they can do something about with minimal effort, and actually do that. And it is the hardest thing to do to convince people to get to that point. Because there are so many excuses and poor reasons to not help each other that we have, that are ingrained in us through society and through propaganda that has been circulating for decades, centuries even. It just imagine the image of in so many movies of a beggar asking for help, and what's the word I want to use here? The ignorant person gives them that help, and now 20 other people are asking them for help. We're fed this idea that if we help one person, we will be swarmed by 100 others. And I can't say that that's untrue entirely. I can't say that if people see you helping others, they're going to come to you and say, can you help me? What I want people to understand is that helping those 100 people is not nearly as difficult as it seems. Because social media makes it so easy to repost a post saying, hey, I need help. Hey, I'm sorry, but I can't make rent. Hey, I hate doing this, but I'm going to lose my car if I can't get enough money to make my car payment. Now, people need cars, people need internet, people need their phones, because we live in a society where to not have those things in some way or form, or be able to borrow them, or have no people with them that are willing to help you, literally makes it impossible to survive. But we still live in a society that teaches us that a poor person buying an iPhone is a frivolous luxury purchase. There are ways to help that are so much easier than we want to believe, because of the things circling in our heads that are making it hard to believe those things. And streaming can be part of that. One of the things that we're asking streamers to do as part of the Direct Aid streaming project is simply to make your community safe, a safe place to ask for help. No is an answer. No, I can't help you right now, but maybe this person can. No, we can't give you any money right now, but maybe we can share your post. It's like, even hey, don't post that here, but maybe you could post it here, or maybe we can talk in DMs about this. Is still making your community safe. The most important thing for making your community safe to ask for help in is making sure there are not people who are then going to crucify that person for saying, hey guys, I can't make rent this month, can anybody help me? As long as you are removing the people who are going to make fun of that person, who are going to tell them to get a job, who are going to grill them on why they can't do that, who are going to make their life hell just because they asked for help, as long as you can get rid of those people out of your community, you're making your community safe from mutual aid. And I promise you, one of the best ways to do that is to be doing mutual aid in your community. Sharing posts from people that need help. Asking your community if anyone needs help and has a post that you can share. Making it very clear that helping people in your community is a thing that your community is supposed to be doing. Because what's going to happen is the people who are going to give those people hell, the people who are going to take joy in making fun of and berating those people, are going to leave. Because they don't actually want to be in a community that is helping people. And the problem is, there are people like that who will donate when you go live and stream for the Trevor Project. But they will tear down someone who is poor and doesn't have any other options but to ask for help online. That is a reality that we as streamers have to face. It is a reality that we need to remove from our communities. And that is one of the things that the Direct Aid Streamer Project is asking streamers to do. Simply make your community a safe place for mutual aid. We talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about making communities safe places for LGBT folks, safe places for trans people, safe places for black people and people of color. But I promise you, your community is not a safe place for any of those people if, when they ask for help, they will be stonewalled or ridiculed by that same community. This is what I mean when I say this is a topic that I'm very passionate about and that I will go on and on and on about, because once I get started, it's really, really hard for me to get off the topic. And it didn't help that I'm sitting here waiting for a countdown, and that just gives me free time to just talk. But one thing I can say is, as much as we need y'all to be here and take part in the raid train, I'm not really concerned about anyone who I might have scared off. Because the people who may have been scared off by that last 30 minutes of ranting are not people that are going to help any of us anyway. People will have their reasons for not helping. And the most important thing you can do to be a safe place for mutual aid is to take a look at your reasons and say, why is that a problem for me? Why is that something that keeps me from helping another human being? The human race literally cannot exist without helping each other. There's a wonderful story that goes around every once in a while of I think it's some subject under humanities or history, where a student asked their professor, a visiting professor, who was, I believe, a professor or just someone who is a professional in the field of archaeology, And they asked the question, what would you say is the first sign of civilization? And she thought about that for a minute and said, I think the first sign of civilization is a healed femur. Because you see, when someone breaks their leg, they cannot, for several months, contribute to society. They have to be still. They have to be off their feet. They have to take the time to heal, which can take months. But more so, they can't take care of themselves. And so they need someone else to take the time to help them, to feed them, to provide for them, to house them, or help them stay housed, in order for that leg to heal, for that femur to heal, so that they can get back to taking care of themselves and then get back to helping, to contributing to society. The first sign of civilization, of people coming together to help each other, is coming together to help each other. We can't form large populations, we can't form cities and states and communes and whatever without helping people that need help. And it has been a policy for so long by those in power to simply try to convince us that that is not the truth. That the only person who can help you is yourself, or the rich philanthropist. Even Batman is part of this. You know, even Batman, the superhero who spends all of his money on philanthropic, stuff, and also on cool gadgets that he can beat up criminals with, is part of this propaganda, because one of the best ways to reduce crime is for people not to be in poverty. It's a different story when he's fighting gangsters and crime lords and the Joker. But when he's beating up petty thieves, and low-level gang members, low-level mafia members, they're probably only there because they either have family ties to these organizations, or they have to be because that's the only way they can survive. But when you take poverty out of the situation, it is a proven fact that crime goes down. When suffering is reduced, those who have to cause suffering in order to get by stop causing suffering because it becomes easier to get by. We're having an ad break coming up here, so I'm going to fly towards my carrier, but I'm going to walk away and go ahead and let that ad break happen. We will be back in about 3 minutes, and I want to say thank you to everyone who has sat through my rant about the poor and about mutual aid and about helping each other, to be here and take part in this raid train. Thank you for being here. Please stay tuned. I will be back shortly, and then in about an hour we will be raiding into Kaya. Thank you. See you in a moment. Okay, folks, welcome back. I promise I will try not to rant so much for the next hour. We're going to continue unloading now my carrier in order to work towards completing this outpost that I'm building on a 35 system chain of systems I am claiming in order to get to a closer to a certain location and make colonization in that region of space a little more accessible to people, because I do not believe anyone else has made a chain out to this area yet, and I think it's going to be a significant thing if people actually do start colonizing out there. So I want to see what happens if I can complete this. So we're working on it today, and the only reason I'm really not saying where I'm going is because I'm probably going to have to take an extended break from the chain, and I just don't want to sabotage my my ability to help branch my squadron's faction out in that direction. But I will talk about that more, where I am going, after my squadron does its next big team group colonization push, which is going to happen around the time that Vanguards comes out later this month. I'm going to be a little quiet, I think, for the next hour because I'm getting tired. I just ranted about mutual aid and helping people for an hour again, and I'm sure something is going to spark me going on another 45-minute rant. But I'm going to try to just rest my voice a little bit and not exhaust myself too much before the end of the stream. Yeah. Helping people is something I'm passionate about because I have needed help for a long time. And there are just so many avenues to get that help out there and get that help passing between the people that need it that I feel are not being addressed and not being used. Not being... I don't know what words I want to use there, but there's more that can be done to help people in our society, and God, I just want more people to be doing those things. As someone who needs help and as someone who is trying to help other people in need around me, there's just not that many helpers, and being a helper does not have to cost money. Although one thing I have failed to say during this stream so far is that if anyone could prove to me that they have donated $30 or more to any of our vetted beneficiaries, which you can find through the vetted beneficiary spreadsheet linked in the DASP command in my chat, I will put you down on the list of people who get to name stations in this chain that I am building. Like, you will get to name the primary outpost, primary starport of the systems as I work my way through them. And it costs $30. Just so $30 that will help somebody stay housed or stay fed or stay on their meds or stay accessing their transportation or communication needs. But you don't have to spend that money to help us out here. Sitting here listening, learning about... I'm sorry, is his name Tarquin the Flatulent? Being here, listening, lurking, being part of the raid train, and hearing about what we do with the Direct Aid Streaming Project is already so much of a help. Going on to talk about it, going on to share the needs of those asking for help online. Is another free way of helping. Hello, Ratmos. Thank you for coming. But I told myself I wasn't going to rant for another hour. So I'm going to put a pin in it there for the time being. I've said it once. I've said it 5 times maybe already in this stream. I'm just very passionate about helping people, and it's hard for me to talk about anything else when I'm literally doing a stream for that purpose. I took allergy medicine before I started the stream today, so that I wouldn't get all stuffed up and nasally. And let's just say allergies aren't the reason I'm sniffling. Even what I'm doing here in the game is helping people. Like, the lore reason for colonization here in Elite Dangerous is that there was a large war. An alien species that we antagonized came to our homes and killed and kidnapped many, many people. And a lot of the people who suffered those attacks and were in the systems where the Thargoids took over and murdered people and, you know, responded to our aggression by attacking us in our homes, don't want to live there anymore. Which is not surprising. And so there's so they introduced a new system in the game under the premise of these people are asking for new homes to live in, new places to be that are unrelated to the carnage and war that they've seen, by introducing the ability for individual commanders to buy a system claim and then build starports and bases and settlements and places where people can live and work out there in the black, away from populated space. And so by building this outpost here on my way to... I can't get over Tarquin the Flatulent. That's great. On my way to a place deeper in the galaxy, further away from the Earth, I am providing at least one small home for a few hundred to a few thousand people, where they can come to live that is not, has not been burned in the fires of war. Does not remind them of the people that they've lost. Does not remind them of what they've suffered. We're building a habitat for humanity, so to speak. Helping people find a new home. And this is still going to be such a small amount of the galaxy. For those who do not know, Elite Dangerous exists in a 1-to-1 scale recreation, procedurally generated recreation of the Milky Way galaxy. It is very large. And to this day, I'm pretty sure we haven't explored more than 3 or 4% of it. Of all of these stars, of all of these systems, so little has been visited by players in the game. And even here, out near Polaris, there's so much that has not been seen. All of these little icons, this is the primary population center of the human race. And there are people that are going out into the different nebulas to colonize them and build, chains out to them in the similar way that I am building a chain out to where I'm going. But it's still such a small portion of what is here and what is there to see and what is there to explore. And I personally am not an explorer. I don't have the patience to go out and scan and map and visit every single planet and scan every single life form. It's why I don't really play No Man's Sky that much. But it is something that some people do greatly enjoy, and there's so much of it to do. There's so many worlds with individual commanders, names on them, and it's still such a drop in the bucket of all of the space, all of the systems, all of the stars in this game to visit. And I think it was mentioned in conversations that I was not necessarily a part of, but witnessing at times on streams and in discords of just like, I don't think this game will survive long enough for us to see everything. There is no way that Elite Dangerous as a video game, as a live service, will be around long enough to map the entire Milky Way galaxy. And so there's always going to be some point that is undiscovered and unvisited in this vast place. And we can still in some way relate to that because this is this galaxy that we live in as people here in the real world in the year 2025. There's so much that we will never see. So much that we should be looking for. So much that we should be aware of and seeking out. And I'm making this about mutual aid again, but there are so many people who cannot do that, cannot even open their eyes and look for stuff because they have to spend all their time trying to make it to tomorrow. Whether that be surviving their mental health situation or having the money to feed themselves and stay housed. When people listen and watch for the people in their community that need help and do so, or help them get that help, it creates at least a small span of time in which that person can actually happily seek out the things that bring them joy. I don't think a lot of people realize how joyless life can be when you are struggling every single day. That's why most of my time is spent on escapism, to be perfectly honest. I spend hours and hours and hours in this game every day. Mostly because even while I am actively seeking help and actively trying to promote my business and actively trying to convince myself to go live, I have to have distractions from that. It's hard. It's really hard. And so many people who are hearing this or will eventually hear this know that. It's very, very, very hard just to survive. When, by God, we are meant to be thriving in this world. We are meant to be having lives that are fulfilling. We are meant to be having days that are joyous every single moment. And it is so very hard to make that happen for so many people. The amount of creativity that is lost because the time someone would spend joyously creating and is being spent trying to survive is bottomless. But the amount of joy that you can create by giving somebody a reprieve, you know, helping somebody be safely housed or fed or get out of a bad situation and just be safe for a little while, it's so amazing to experience, and it's so amazing to see. And you will see it because they will suddenly be doing things that bring them joy, and the things that bring them joy will bring other people joy as well. Today we are here to do a raid train for the Direct Aid Streaming Project, where multiple streamers who are either a part of the DASP community or are vetted beneficiaries of the Direct Aid Streaming Project. That means that they are real people with real needs that need help getting those needs met and have been verified as such. Many of us here participating in the train are either volunteers from outside or are part of the community in the Discord, or are vetted beneficiaries who have gone through the process, who have been helped to set up a Ko-Fi page so that we have trusted links for donations and these lovely little Ko-Fi goal widgets that we can put on stream. And we're just trying to help each other by bringing awareness to all of this. Just bringing awareness to the project and what we can do in a couple of hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours of the day to make someone's life a little more joyous and allow them to spread that joy around. In this moment, I ask you just to be here with us. Hang out, listen. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them, and I will do my best to answer them. I'm probably the one most capable of answering questions about the project. But if you have it in you to do more, if you have it in you to go on Blue Sky or Mastodon and find somebody who is asking for help and share that post, please do so. If you have it in you to open up a dialogue in your community and say, hey, does anyone need help? How can we help you today? Do that. There's so many ways to help that don't require spending a dime, but I promise you this, if you can forego the cost of rolling for a horse girl today, that might feed somebody. That might be the thing that pushes somebody over the edge of being able to stay housed today. Because it's those little donations that add up that make all the difference. So if that is something you can do, if that is something you are willing to do, type !DASP in the chat and pick one of our vetted beneficiaries to throw a few dollars at. Yeah, it's free to lurk. And that's part of what I'm getting at is there are so many ways to help that cost nothing but time and energy. Maybe more time and energy than a lurk, but just mostly just time and energy that can be so helpful to people. Just being somebody someone can trust not to get onto them for asking for help is something that can be incredibly meaningful to a person. Even if they never ask you, knowing that you're not going to tell them off or tell them to leave for doing so is super important because there's a lot of people who will do that shit. And it's one of the things that we are asking the streaming community, streamers and otherwise, to do is simply to make their communities, because every streamer, it doesn't matter what your reasons for doing it, you're always going to eventually form a community around your channel, right? And one of the most important things you can do is simply allow that space to be safe for people to say, no, I'm not really doing very good right now, I kind of need some help. I have not checked the thread. We've got one new question from an anonymous user. And that question is, how would you pitch streaming for direct aid to other streamers to encourage them to join events like this? And it's such an actual hard question, right? The reality is people want to help. But people firmly believe there are a lot of good reasons not to help individual people. Right? It's so much easier to raise money for a charitable cause that is 501c3 registered and supposedly is spending that money solely on the cause that they stand for. The reality is that a lot of those are not, and a lot of them are hemorrhaging money for administration costs and such. I won't get into that right now. I didn't mean to. How would I pitch it? There's a lot of people out there that need help that the Trevor Project can't help, or Help Uplive, or the ACLU. They simply are not going to be able to reach those people in time, or they are outside of the scope of what these organizations that we most well know and most well trust can help. All it takes is talking to someone, treating them like a human being, and giving them a sliver of trust to find out whether or not they're a real person with a real need. And once you know that, it's easy to trust them just as well as you would trust the ACLU or Doctors Without Borders and stuff like that. Because you know they're real, you know they're a person, and you know they need help. And from that point, it doesn't take much to get the tools you need to present their need in the same way that you would present fundraising for a charity. You can go to Tiltify and have them set up a personal page and a personal fundraiser, and then use the same systems that you use for charitable organizations to raise funds for them as well. When you get down to it, it's just as easy and just as important to help individuals who are asking for it than it is to help organizations. Because for every person an organization helps, there are 10 people that it can't. I don't know. Maybe that's not a good pitch. Maybe that's a little bit too verbose. I don't really have an elevator pitch for it because it's such a complicated topic. There's so many barriers in a person's mind, dependent on each individual person, that you have to work around or through in order to convince that person to help. That is a truthful statement. Everyone has it. Everyone's been told one way or another, either not to help those in need or not to ask for help at all. But some of the people that are struggling to ask for help the most are the people that are most in need of that help. Maybe I would say you should join our raid train for the Direct Aid Streaming Project. We're helping some people stay housed that otherwise don't really have the resources or help to do so. And we know they're real people, so there's no real reason not to. We know that they're legit, and we've actually put in the effort to find out and make sure they're not lying to anybody. But it's like, no matter what I could say to pitch that and say, would you mind helping us with this? There's so many reasons that are just ingrained in people's heads that give them an excuse to say no. So it's hard to give an honest and correct answer to that question because it really depends on the individual person you're asking. All we can really do is a lot of it is very similar to what we do for people who we're trying to help ask for help, is say, these are the things you don't say, these are the things you can say. Try to say the things you can say. I talked about it in the DASP Discord. We have a venting channel that is like opt-in. You have to ask for permission to join it because having that extra step is just a way of preventing bad actors from having access to, things like that. And I said, oh God, what did I say? I lost it because of that wonderful donation. Thank you so much, Donate People Guy, for donating to me. I appreciate that. Let me see what that is, because if it's over $30, I have a prize for you. Thank you. Donate People Guy. I know who you are. I won't use your real name unless you pop in the chat and identify yourself. Thank you for $15. That helps me a lot, because I am also currently fundraising to pay my electric bill. Thank you, Hit People Guy. Welcome in. I know you from Ratmost's chat. Thank you for being here. And I am the lead project coordinator. I keep saying that. Maybe I should just go back to that title. I am the lead admin for the Direct Aid Streaming Project, but I am also a beneficiary, because right now I'm trying desperately to raise $345 to pay my electric bill. That's a great parasocial you. Snoot is also an amazing person. Hey, let me do a couple of shout outs. I gotta remember how my thing functions. I see you, Ratmost, being an awesome person. This is Snoot _ TV. Is that what it is? Did that work? Did it send? It's not gonna work if it doesn't send. two awesome streamers. One of them a friend, I would like to say. Thank you. That puts me and my goal at 148 of the 345, which is itself only a small part of my personal monthly goal, of which I'm behind because I didn't complete 2 months of it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking part in this raid train for the Direct Aid Streaming Project, where most of what we're trying to do is just get people to help each other through direct mutual aid. There's so many people out there who need help and have exhausted their support networks and exhausted their access to programs and charities and are on waiting lists to get help that are not going to be coming anytime soon, who come online and say, help me, please, help me, God. I need money for rent. I need money for my car payment. I need money to feed my kids. I need money for my insulin. And it is almost always the last resort for these people to come here and do this, because they've already exhausted any other help they can get. And then they start seeking mutual aid online, and that becomes a full-time job to even get a $5 donation one time out of a week's worth of begging online. It's an incredibly difficult thing to even start doing, and it's an incredibly difficult thing to succeed at. And so what we are doing with this raid train is just trying to raise awareness of that. Trying to raise awareness of our project, which is which is a project to help people in need have people to say, yes, this person is real and honest and needs help, and pitch that to streamers who might already be doing charitable efforts of their own for the Trevor Project, the ACLU, the Immune Deficiency Foundation, and just say, if you can raise $1,000 for this charity, I promise you that same $1,000 that you could raise will help 5 people that are not going to get help otherwise. And here is a list of people that we know are real and honest and in need, that could make a difference for. I talked about the joyless life of stuff, of suffering and being in need constantly. And there's a time at which a wonderful member of the community was able, and I'm going to say it that way because it is very rare and very difficult to be able to do this kind of thing, to donate $2,000 to me and my father. And that gave us an entire month of peace of mind. And that peace of mind, I actually think that donation is what allowed me to think of and start the Direct Aid Streaming Project, now that I think about it. It was in that time that I thought of the idea of asking streamers to help fundraise for mutual aid online. I'm gonna cry. I'd never made that connection, or I've forgotten that. So it was through the astounding generosity of one person that I was able to even think and be creative enough to begin this project, to start asking to create the Discord that we use, to create the Blue Sky page that we started from, and to ask people at all to start streaming to fundraise for mutual aid the way that we stream to fundraise for charity. To ask streamers to make their communities safe places for people to ask for help in. To take the time out of their day to champion one person on social media and repost someone asking for help. I have a very small starter pack on Blue Sky of VTubers who have taken a pledge to make that effort once a day to just share a post from someone who's asking for help, and to make their community a safe place for doing so by making sure there are not people in that community who are going to harass them for needing to ask for help. And it's infuriating and heartbreaking that it's even necessary to cultivate our communities in such a way that we have to remove people that simply lack compassion and have so much hatred in themselves as to cause such pain. But that is the reality. That is a reality of this world, and the other reality is that none of us would be here if we didn't have someone to help us, if we didn't have a parent to raise us, if we didn't have a teacher to teach us, if we didn't have someone at work to teach us how things go, how things work. I have some corporate stooge make training videos so that we know how to do our jobs. You know, have someone to stand us up on 2 feet and encourage us to take a step forward, or mutter nonsense at us until we say our first words, right? Like, none of us would be here if someone didn't take the time to help us get from point A to point B and level up, or to learn, or pay a bill once in a while. You know, I'm not going to say anything about employers or landlords because that's not what this is about. You know, it's about the person who tells you it's going to be okay that day that you needed it the most. And what I want personally, what my personal mission right now is, we need more people like that. We need more people that are willing to be there and say it's going to be okay, and then follow that up with, how can I help? The Direct Aid streaming project exists as well as a buffer to an extent. You know, I talked about that very common scene in a lot of movies where an ignorant traveler helps a beggar and all of a sudden is swarmed by many, many beggars who also need help and have seen that you have something to spare. And the reality is the Direct Aid streaming project can help prevent streamers who are willing to help from becoming overwhelmed as well. By directing people in need to the Direct Aid streaming project and to our vetting process, we can offer them a place to ask for help where they will get help immediately through social media, through the mutual aid threads that we run on Blue Sky and Mastodon, as well as tips, tricks to help get more out of seeking help online, and people who have knowledge that they are willing to share to help them find a way to generate an income, even if there's very little they can do due to disability or something like that. But at the same time, it gives you something to say, I want to help you, but I need you to go through this process first. And it acts as a buffer for streamers so that they do not get overwhelmed with too many people asking for help. We can be a place that they can send people to get some help while they are working on other projects or working with other people or figuring out what they're going to do next. And we are a place where streamers can come together to share resources on how to do these things best. Faint Swift 0. Thank you for being here. Hello. Sorry, I needed to finish that line of thought before I said hello. And yeah, so many of the members of the DASP community spend as much time as a lot of us have to spend on trying to get help for ourselves. We spend a lot of time trying to get help for each other. We have 3 channels, I guess I can say, in the DASP Discord. One is called New Post Sharing, and that is a place for folks in need in the community to post their most recent social media posts that they're trying to get attention to. And very often we will all go there, as many of us that are able to do this on a daily basis, and then share that post. And the goal, at least on Blue Sky, is to try and get that post to 15 likes. Because when a post gets to 15 likes on Blue Sky, it is within the threshold of the Discover feed, which is like, here are people that you might want to see and interact with via the minimal algorithm that we use to curate such things for you. And part of that algorithm is it has to have at least 15 likes. So by getting together in this way and working as a community to get people's need out there, to quote them, to get them shared so that more people can see and like that post, we help them with that reach. And then we also have an emergency threat, an emergency channel that is very much the same, except that the people who are posting their needs can actually at everyone in the server to bring attention to that. And that is there's a rule that they can only do that once a day, but what that does is everyone gets a notification that does not have them turned off that someone is in desperate need and has a goal that needs to be met quickly, so that we can all get in there and share it, like it, quote it, spread it around. And more so, that notification persists throughout the day. So if you can't get to your Discord until like 5 p.m. in the evening, it's still going to be there for you to find, look at, share, etc. The third channel is called MA Threads. It's very simple and to the point. There are multiple people on Blue Sky and Mastodon that do threads where you can go and post that you need help. And this is an extension of the mutual aid community online as a baseline. People will go there and share their need and then go through that thread and share everyone who is there. Some people don't, but most of the threads have a rule to go ahead and do that, or at least share the thread itself. And in this way we have greater community in that people are going to these centralized locations and sharing these needs all together. So where we have maybe 8 or 10 or 15 people who are sharing needs from the new post sharing or the emergency channel, when we share these threads from the people that run them, we are exposing the DASP community and those in need, the beneficiaries, vetted or otherwise, who are in the community, to a greater, larger community that can help them. And yeah, it's another great free way to help. It just takes a little bit of time and energy to go say to the DASP, THEDASP dot bsky dot social, and find our thread from Thursday and share that. And by sharing that, you are potentially putting in front of your followers 20 people that need help. Many of those posts, as I checked them this morning, have not hit 15 likes yet and still need help getting to that threshold. And that's all it really takes, is go through, repost, like, repost, like, repost, like. And it can be incredibly helpful if all you do is help that post get to 15 likes. It can make a huge difference, because it shunts that post in front of other people who haven't seen it before. If you are interested in seeing other things that the Direct Aid Streaming Project does, and a lot of what I've talked about today, there are informational channels that you can get to that do not require you, is that going to work? Good. To join the server at large. There are 4 channels, I guess, actually. They are called... They're in the project info category, and they're called Who We Are, Who Are We, What Does the DASP Do, and How to Help. There's also an FAQ, of which there's only one question currently, because there haven't been that many questions asked that I have needed to add to this channel as of yet. And those are public. You can find that information just by popping in the Discord, reading through it, and leaving. But if you want to stick around and be part of the community, of which several streamers are, some of us also in need, as well as people who are just there because they have a need that they are trying to meet, and some of those who are there because they have that need and they would like to request that streamers help them meet that and have gone through our vetting process. If you would like to join the community, if you would like to be part of that, it's just a 2-step process. Agree to the rules and introduce yourself. And from there, it's just a community that you're a part of, like any other Discord. But you gain access to these channels that I'm talking about, where people are posting their need, and if you are on Blue Sky, you can just click through and repost and like. And that is just another part of the DASP trying to make helping people more accessible and easier. You know, we give streamers the ability to say, I know this person is real and I want to help them. Let me get their information from this thread, this forum that we have, where that information is specifically posted, so that I can put their little goal on my stream and can then go live and say, hey folks, I'm here today to help Briar, who is fundraising on a daily basis to keep housed in a hotel, and our goal is to help them raise $550 in as short a time as we can, so that they can buy a week's worth of housing and stay housed for $200 to $300 less than they would otherwise. This is what we do at the Direct Aid Streaming Project, and one of our main missions is simply to ask streamers to help us do that, to come to us and say, who needs help? How can I do that? But as we have said, there are free ways to help, and lurking here in the raid train is one of them. In about 10 minutes, I will be raiding over to Brat Dragon Girlfriend, and we will be continuing the train from there. Um, I will also personally be back on Tuesday, and probably continue to just talk about mutual aid and the direct aid streaming project for 2 hours straight, because at this rate I don't seem to be able to not do that. This is the second stream in a row I've not been able to shut up. And I'm okay with that, because this is something I'm proud of. This is something that I'm passionate about, and thank you for listening. I'm the lead admin because I founded the Direct Aid Streaming Project. I had the idea and I put in the effort to make it happen, and I was only able to do that because of a generous donor when I needed it the most. All we're trying to do is get more people to say, hey, would you help this person? Hey, will you help this person? Hey, will you help that person? Hey, will you help someone on this list of people we know are human and honest and in need? And as an otherkin, I really need to find another way to say it besides calling everybody human. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for lurking. And please stay tuned, because there's more to come. And Kaya has worked really hard to make this raid train happen, sacrificing her health to an extent yesterday, and I'm sure plenty more as the week progresses. This stuff is hard to do, and it's that reason that we haven't been able to do another one since last December. But we're trying, and I'm so proud that we were able to do this. I'm so proud of Kaya and so thankful that this is happening, and I'm so personally thankful because I have needed to be part of an event like this for a while, and I feel that every day, because it's filling the hole in me that I had when I had to stop doing charity live stream events because I myself was in too much need. So I'm thankful to be here. I'm thankful to be able to talk to you about the Direct Aid Streaming Project. I'm thankful to be able to ask you to help each other and be a person who's going to be safe to ask for help. Even if you can't provide it, even if you have to say, I'm sorry I can't, but maybe I can share your post. Even if you say, I'm sorry I can't, but these people might be able to help you. Because there's just too many people that need that, and there's too few people that can do that. So I'm asking you to be part of that, and just being here is being a part of that. So thank you. I can tell I'm winding down because my pauses are getting longer, but that's what happens when you talk about something you're passionate about for 2 hours. And that's why I have to do 2 hours every other day instead of being able to do something every day like I would like to. I used to be able to do that. I'm not healthy enough to do that anymore. But I tell you what, I've certainly streamed more the past 3 days than I have in weeks. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to do that. It's hard. It's hard to go live when you're struggling. It's hard to be creative when you're worried about bills. It is. And I just want more people to have that opportunity to have a reprieve and be creative again for a while. Now we're going to snooze that. We're not going to have another ad right now. I don't really have anything else to say, so I'm just going to vibe for a minute, if y'all don't mind. And I'm going to continue working on this off stream, and, you know, by the time I come back on Tuesday, I might be working on my third or fourth station in the chain. Who's to say? What I'm doing right now is just building. I'm building a system. I'm building a system by creating its primary starport, and then I'm going to go to the next system and build another small primary starport. Then I'm going to do that again and again and again, about 35 times, and create a bridge to a place that I think people should be colonizing more, because I think it'll affect something in the game. And the only reason I'm not telling anybody where that is today is because other projects are going to come up in between, and I don't want anything to be sabotaged before I can get back to it. I'm in a good place for that, though, because I'm not going to some place that's like a personal goal for me. I can go literally anywhere in this region of space that I'm aiming for. And frankly, if somebody were to race me there and get there before me, I would not care. It would not be that big of a deal to me. I was about to say, I don't think I've hydrated in this entire time, and I've definitely cried several, but I have actually drank half my water bottle. The only complaint I have about the Panther Clipper is how the default destination target thing is over those two white buttons and makes it really hard to see the distance. Only complaint. After this, folks, I'm going to be going to bed because I'm tired and I have not gotten much sleep today. But I'm happy for this opportunity to be here and do this. I'm happy that folks in this community have worked so hard to make this happen, especially Kaya. And I'm happy to see literally anything happen for the sake of the people we're trying to help, including ourselves. I think now is a good time to go ahead and start the raid, so I'm going to do that. And I want to thank everyone who's stuck around and heard me out, and even if you're not here and you're just lurking, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this. And I personally will see you Tuesday, but in just a moment we're going to go visit Kaya and, well, have a good time with whatever she's going to play next. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being a part of the Direct Aid Streaming Project's August raid train. Have a good day.